asked me about the project, and they don't call them movies, they call them projects. Eddie Olmos, and some Esparza, who did Salina, asked me if I would help them. But you know, I said, no, puro duro, they're from Monterrey, you know, no pagan. And so I said, well, you don't want to pagar, I'll do it on 4 conditions. And they said, what are they? I said that my love interest in the movie or girlfriend would be Selma Hayek, J-Lo, Eva Longoria, Eva Mendes. No hay nada. That didn't work. The next thing is who was going to play me? Because I was a good-looking bastard when I was young. So I was going to play Sal Castro in the movie. So then they first asked, they first wanted Benjamin Bratt. That's cool. Peruvian kid, Law and Order. But he couldn't get out of a long-term contract. The next guy they asked was Mark Anthony. I said, no, not Mark Anthony. You know, it's not going to be a musical, so pa' qué? So they decided on Mike Pena, and he did a hell of a job. I mean, this guy's big time now. He's done stuff with Robert Redford, and Meryl Streep, and Eddie Murphy. He's got a current movie now with Eddie Murphy, so he's really shot up. So he's a good, very good, excellent artist. Okay, so next shot will be, of course, the book. That's the Hazard Park when the kids were got together after every walkout and figured out what we're going to do next. Now you're going to see how handsome I really was. Look at this. Yeah. 1965. That's when I met Cesar at the Mission Inn in Riverside. I was at a MAPA convention, and he came, and you know, he was getting, remember, this is 65, he was just getting started, and some vatos in red flags took over the stage. I said, wow, these dudes are organized, and I said, you know, I'm gonna see what's going on. So I was very impressed with what he did, and the way they were very organized, the farm workers. So I said, I saved that, I put that in my computer. So the very next slide shows you Robert Kennedy and Cesar there in the fast at Delano. Now, in the middle of the walkouts, we were getting no support at all. I'm sure that Dr. Garcia told you. I mean, the few elected Chicano officials, Latino officials in LA were hiding. They were all hiding under desks. They did not want to come out and support the demands of the students. All they were was better education, smaller classes, more counselors, bring in the community to work in the school so that the schools would no longer be missions, you know, and the teachers missionaries kind of thing. The kids even said, hey, let's get our mothers hired so they can work in the kitchen and the food will get better. But that's all they were asking, and yet people were afraid. They didn't even want to read the damn things. That's how fearful they were, because this was brand new. You know, you didn't in the community have protests like this. Yes, we were seeing protests outside, the protests against the Vietnam War, in the southern part of the country, the civil rights movement, Cesar and his organizing of the farm workers, but you weren't getting anything from the schools. This was brand new, and the students going out, Chihuahua, malcriados, chavalos. So this was the reaction from the community, from the parents too. They didn't know how to take it. So I was in a quandary. I was in bad shape because nobody wanted to support. By some chance, I heard that Senator Robert Kennedy was up in Delano. So I went to the Mexican Opportunity Foundation. That's the only federal agency I knew, and asked if they could contact the folks up there. And apparently Cesar said something to Kennedy, because notice his suit there with Cesar. And now we're going to show you the second slide that Dr. Garcia has shown you already. 2 hours later, he's with the students, and he's listening to them. He's looking over the demands, and he says that he supports what the students are doing. Yes, you'll be glad to take a photo with the students. Now, what's interesting about the photo, I mean, this is dynamite, but it did not appear in any newspaper, not any commercial newspaper anywhere in the country, except, of course, the underground newspapers. They had put a lid on what the students were doing. People didn't know. It only moved through word of mouth. Because other states in Arizona, Nuevo Mexico, Colorado, Texas, they weren't hearing that in the news. But and the funny part, I was getting interviewed by Newsweek and Time, but I think these cabrones that were interviewing me were really CIA or FBI, they sure as hell were Time magazine or Newsweek magazine reporters, because it wasn't filtering out. It was only through telephone calls and so forth and so on that other walkouts happened. But again, I was very thankful that Kennedy took a picture with the kids, that really hardened the kids and that really moved the thing forward. The next slide you'll see is the movie itself was inspired by the Chicano documentary, four-part documentary on the Chicano civil rights movement. We always hear the civil rights movement, we always think Delitos out in the streets. No, but there were tons of Latinos, tons of Mexicans out in the streets, raising hell too. We always talk about the lynchings in the South. Hell, they were lynching Mexicans at the same time and even faster. If a Mexican out here was naive enough to say that he had discovered gold on his property, within 45 minutes he got hung, he got lynched. That was just SOP, standard operating procedure here in California. So anyway, you know that it's, as I said, a four-part series on the civil rights movement. The guy to the far right up there is supposed to be me with a big nose. Apparently, President Clinton saw it and said, invite that dude to the White House. This is now 1996. So here I am. And Dr. Garcia showed you that slide already. But Calote el Vato, he was real tall. He could have been a tight end for University of Arkansas. He walked in the blue room. Remember now, this is May 2nd, and by the way, I got invited to the White House. I'm supposed to be there right now. They're celebrating Cinco de Mayo right now, the White House. Vice President Biden invited me. But you know, it's Cinco de Mayo, and I don't have enough mayo to go because it costs about $4,000 to get there. Now, when President Clinton invited me, I had to pay my way, but you know, I figured, orale, they kid from East LA going to the White House. That's why it's like $1,000 going, $1,000 coming. But the hotels in DC are plus $700. And you think, wow, you're getting a suite. That don't look like a telephone booth. It would have cost, like I said, this time around about $4 billion. Hey, I'm a retired teacher on a fixed income. I couldn't go. But anyway, here comes President Clinton into the blue room. Big smile on his face. I didn't see Monica Lewinsky anywhere, but he had a This is what an invite to the White House looks like. This is the next slide. And there it is. Cinco de Mayo. Órale, qué suave. But anyway, no. Another time. You know what I was going to do? I was going to say, I know I have a way they'll pay my way. I was going to call up his secretary and say, I got inside information on Cartagena and your Secret Service. I'm the guy that got the ladies for him. You know, then I would have to testify, they paid, and then I'd get their free. But I don't know if it'll work or not. But anyway, the next slide is very interesting. This is Senator John F. 1860 at Olvera Street in Los Angeles. He's running now. This is October. And if you look very closely, you'll see him right in the middle there. Cabezón el vato. Look at him. Right here. There he is right there. And lo and behold, one of these cabrones, I think it's me right there, right behind him. So, but anyway, the funny part about this is he was supposed to have lunch with the governor, Edmund G. Pat Brown Sr., the father of the current governor, and Stanley Moss, secretary, what the hell was he, Attorney General in California, and all the other bigwigs there at the Casa Ávila, the oldest house, and hadn't been refurbished yet, so you could actually push it, they would move. So Senator Kennedy goes in there, everybody's clamoring to hear Senator Kennedy say something and so forth and so on. And so he won't come out because he keeps telling me and the other advanced people that, and I was a volunteer advancement. I don't want to put on any airs, but you didn't get paid. But I guess because I had an Ivy League suit, I said, well, they put that vato here to help us. Anyway, so they kept asking for him, and he kept saying, tell them he's going to be at East LA College tonight. Please go there, and then he's going to give a major speech. But no, that didn't. They didn't go for that. They kept pushing the building. And I said, you better come out, otherwise they're gonna knock the goddamn building down. So he did come out. Senator Kennedy, Jack Kennedy, his name was Jack. You know, he became JFK later, but his name was Jack then. And he looks over the crowd, I mean, it was jam-packed with gente. He looks over the crowd and he says, Viva! He's trying to say Viva, pobre vato. Boston accent and all. Nice, good-looking dude. He always had a tan, and apparently the tan was from he was taking. He was not that well. Now, the next slide is interesting because, check it here. Eat at the Paseo Inn. Colombina serves Mexican food. What does it say here? Try a margarita. I thought that's why I'd show you that. Now, I wanted to show you also how this is Garfield High School, LA. Look at the sheriffs in their riot gear. What did they think the kids were going to do? Throw books at them? That's all the kids had. Not only there, but I think there's another slide. There's another slide of the helmeted sheriffs. Exactly, Garfield High in East LA. And then you'll see one more inside Belmont High School. Look at that. The LAPD is now in riot guard. I mean, ridiculous. Why? What were they so afraid of? That all the kids only wanted more schools, better schools, a chance to go to college, and here's the cops in riot gear. And as you saw in the movie, and it's really true, if you saw, how many seen the movie Walkout? So as you saw in the movie, hope you all see it. It's got a damn good message. You can buy it now for about $5. No sean codoluro. You can get it for $5, or buy one, and then everybody goes to different dorms or whatever, your apartments, and go see the damn thing. But if you're working with young people, it's very good to show, because it shows higher education and how important it is. It's got a tremendous message. The movie Walkout. It's an HBO movie. You can buy it. Just calling up Barnes and Noble. Amazon will sell it to you. Maybe less than $5. Okay, continuing. Let's see where I left off. This is West Los Angeles. These are some white kids that are now supporting the walkouts. You know, the total number of kids that walked out was not 10, 20,000. But we found out in 2006 when they were doing research for the movie Walkout that almost 50,000 kids walked out. It was a huge walkout. Kids from the county walked out. Kids from Orange County walked out. Kids from the Ventura County walked out. And that's only in Los Angeles. Other walkouts happened, as I told you later, in Texas, Nuevo Mexico. I was giving speeches in Chicago, Illinois in December on poor kids that had walked out. So it was a huge thing. And one of the interesting things here, the ironic thing is one of those kids in there was the son of Evo Younger, the district attorney. Later, 2-3 months later, he's the same guy that threw me in jail. I started calling him Evo Younger. His son, by the way, was one of the leaders of the walkouts. Can you believe it? It's ironic, isn't it? I guess he didn't know, but life is funnier than whatever. Anyway, as I told you, I had gone to see President Clinton, and because I had to get cleared by the CIA and FBI, they started sending me funny stuff. I mean, by the time President Bush became president, they started sending me stuff on Afghanistan, a map of Afghanistan, the provinces of Afghanistan. Now, what the hell did I want a map of Afghanistan for? They were looking for the Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden. They found him, but in those days they were looking for him, and I'm looking and studying the map. Wow, look at this. Look at this interesting province. Aquí no están. Tal vez sí están. No sé si están. Tal vez están. And what I'm going to visit, qué gacho están. Dr. Garcia told you about Cinco de Mayo and so forth and so on. And then we'll show you a picture of Benito Juarez. And what's interesting about Benito Juarez in 1862, because the battle, remember, was May 5th, 1862. What was happening also in the United States in 1862? The Civil War. Now, what's very extremely interesting about this whole scenario is that, was that there were recruits from Mexico Juarez emissaries coming up to California, the families, to help get their kids to volunteer to go help Juarez. And at the same time, the families were in a quandary because they wanted to help Lincoln also. Lincoln was a hero to the Mexicans, by the way. You may or may not know this. When Lincoln was a congressman, he was completely opposed to the war against Mexico. He was a congressman, remember, and he on the floor of the House of Representatives of Mexico and said, of the United States, I'm sorry, and said, show me where Americans have gotten killed on American soil in Mexican hands. Then I'll approve your war. Ooh, he became a big hero. So now what were the Mexicans going to do? So some families, including Mariano Vallejo, and I'll tell you a little more about Mariano Vallejo later, sent a couple of sons to help Juarez, and then some sons to send, or family members to send to help Lincoln. This happened up and down the state. This is something that nobody talks about. Okay, continuing the battle itself, and you can see the next slide there at Puebla in 1862. But then, who were the people that were involved in the fighting? Well, we gotta go. It's getting boring. Anyway, too much like history. Wait a while, wait 5 minutes. Anyway, Lorenzen was the guy Lorenzen, the next slide, was the guy that was leading the 6,500 French crack troops. And then, of course, Rosa was leading the thereabouts. And everybody assumed that the French would just wipe them out, but it didn't. It wasn't that to be. Now, yes, that all happened 3,000-4,000 miles away. But why do we continue, to commemorate it here? Notice I didn't say celebrate it, because you don't celebrate a battle where people got killed. Most of the young people that got killed were about your age. And you say, why? Why do we commemorate here? Because of one of your, look at this next slide. That was the guy that said, look at that. Almost like there's no Chihuahua. Look at this next slide. Cinco de Mayo, all the peers from Coors. This one. Okay, let's look at the next one. Ya ni la chinga. Look at this. Girl, covering the stomach with a couple of peers. If they have. At least a couple of these ladies. The next slide. I guess we're having a good time. But finally, the last straw is the next slide. Come to Hooters and shake your booty for Cinco de Mayo. I mean, that's too much. God damn it, I'm going to tell you why, in reality, we commemorate Cinco de Mayo in the United States. Remember it. Take it with you. Share it with other folks. First of all, I'm going to show you the commanding general of the Revolutionary Forces. Here, President George Washington. You all have seen him. You've all seen photos of him, or murals of him, and everything else in your textbooks. But now, have you seen this? Who the hell is he? He is the man that brought up more than 9,000 Mexican troops, yes, from New Spain, which was Mexico, to help Washington hold out the British in the southern ports of Natchez, Biloxi, of Baton Rouge, and New Orleans, with 44 ships. And money, too. Ever heard of that? No. But you've heard of the town Galveston, in honor of Bernardo Galvez, the professor at University of Mexico, who now became the general that led the forces. And as I said a minute ago, they also brought money, more money than the French. Is that in any textbook? No, but it should be. That, in part, is the reason why we Cinco de Mayo. Now, let me continue. Notice the ports that they were blockading. Many of them in that area, blockading with 44 ships. Not only that, but the missions that your ancestors, those of you that are Latinos, founded here in California, they passed the hat, and they came up with $14,000, send it back to Washington to support the American Revolution. Ever seen that in an American history book or a California history book? No. These are some of the officers that helped Bernardo Galvez. Some of you may have the same last name. Besides Galvez, Briano, Solano, Longoria, Saavedra, Esperata, and Miro. Some of you trace your ancestry, or they are your ancestors. All Americans with a Spanish surname, heroes with a Spanish surname. Continuing, the next slide you're going to see is James Madison. He was, of course, the secretary of at the Constitutional Convention, Philadelphia, 1787, when they were forming the federal state, the federal Constitution. We're going to form a federal government. Okay, another gentleman that was involved in the founding father, John Adams, another giant. Another giant is old dude, Benjamin Franklin from Pennsylvania. That's him. And then finally, another one that you recognize is Alexander Hamilton, the youngest delegate. Pobre vato, you know, they killed him in a duel over somebody, some lady. You know, I guess he liked married ladies that the husband shot him. Anyway, you'll see now next the Constitution, of course. Now, I'm going to show you some other photos and see if you can recognize any of them. Miguel de Pedromena from San Diego. San Diego, you should recognize the name. Okay, the next one, Pablo de la Guerra from Santa Barbara. The next one is Manuel Dominguez from Los Angeles. The next one is Jose Covarrubias. This is Jose Covarrubias from San Luis Obispo. And pobrecito, this other vato, he wasn't too good looking, but he was a nice dude. Jose Carrillo from Los Angeles. And finally, Mariano Vallejo. And again, I'll say a little more about Vallejo. Who were these vatos? Who were they? They were the owners of the next slide, were the owners of Taco Bell? Maybe Del Taco, let's look at Del Taco, or Polo Loco, maybe? No! They were founding fathers of the state of California. They wrote the Constitution of California in 1849. They put in the Constitution that there would be universities like San Diego State, so that their descendants, could come to them. American heroes with Spanish surnames. Did you ever hear of them before? No. What the hell's going on? Yet we commemorate Cinco de Mayo. Let's get loaded. Da-da-da-da-da. This is the real story, and nobody knows it. Damn, it pisses me off. Anyway, continuing. You go to Magic Mountain, look around, because you're in hallowed ground. A gentleman by the name of Francisco Lopez in 1843 discovered what? Gold in that area. Notice, 1843, not 1849. When did the war against Mexico start? 1845. Why? You got your answer right there. Now, you go to Dodger Stadium. Some of you now, you follow the Padres. They won. They actually won a series. Let's give them a hand. Jesus. I was there yesterday. Anyway, when you go to Dodger Stadium, it's called what? Chavez Ravine. Why? Because of Julian Chavez, the next gentleman. Look up, that's Francisco Lopez, the Dodgers, and here's Julian Chavez. A member of the first city council of Los Angeles, a member of the board of supervisors, board of supervisors. He was a rancher. He owned much of Elysian Park, which is Elysian Park today. There was a smallpox epidemic in Mexico, in Los Angeles, and he donated part of his land to build a tent hospital to fight the smallpox. That tent hospital then became Barlow Sanitarium. Those of you that are from Los Angeles. Anybody here from Los Angeles? Ever heard of that before? Have you heard of it? Yeah, you have. So you know what I'm talking about. You talk about the Julian Chavez donating that. Great. Okay, that's fine. Hey, how did you find out about it?
I was in elementary school in El Cerrito,
Okay.
East LA, and one of my teachers talked about it in the fourth grade.
Good, and I told him about it. Right on. Okay, I hope he gave me credit. Anyway, continuing. You know, I was up at Fresno just the other day at Fresno City College, and I showed him this next slide. This young man was Lieutenant Gabriel Moraga. He didn't know who the hell he was. Check it out. These are all the areas that he founded and named, not founded, but named. There's a list. The San Joaquin River, Sacramento River, Merced River, Kings River, Calaveras, Mariposa River, Mariposa County, Fresno, Modesto, Madera, and of course El Capitan in Yosemite. An American hero with a Spanish surname, Lieutenant Gabriel Moraga. Okay, continuing. The next slide, of course, you see President Lincoln, the giant. You know, he was very concerned, and he was very moved and brokenhearted at the fact that at Gettysburg, the three-day battle in the Civil War lasted 3 days and killed tons of young men, mostly the young men your age here in this room. And so he needed to do something. When he was thinking about his Gettysburg Address, 407, he was thinking of writing, the Gettysburg Address, and at the same time something was bothering 407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent, new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition all men are created equal. Now we're engaged in a great civil war, and I won't bore you with the rest. But he wanted to do something that really would commemorate the bravery of these young men. In his mind, then he created a Congressional Medal of Honor, which was given out, of course, later to three young men. They happened to be minority. 2 African American kids, one Carter, one Harrison. They didn't give them to them then because it wasn't done there. They didn't get medals of honor. I think it took President Clinton to give them the medals of honor tons of years later. But one young man that did receive it from California, PFC Joe Castro from San Francisco. Ladies and gentlemen, there's Mexican blood, there's Latino blood in Gettysburg, the Gettysburg Cemetery. Ever heard of that before? Well, your teachers go crazy when you start telling them that. These are the 2 young men that I was talking about that right after President Lincoln, Harrison and Carter. Okay? And then here's another hero of the Civil War, Lieutenant Manuel Chavez from Nuevo Mexico. In fact, there's a monument in his honor in Nuevo Mexico. Lieutenant Manuel Chavez, the Battle of Glorieta Pass. He was a Colorado volunteer. Mendez. Felicita Mendez. So what's significant about Felicita Mendez? She owns a Mexican restaurant in East LA? No! Her family, her and her husband, she happened to be Guatemalteca, her husband Mexican, her family fought to desegregate schools in, of all places, Orange County in 1946. Sylvia Mendez was a daughter. In fact, there's a school named after Sylvia Mendez in Los Angeles today. But this is now 1946, when schools were desegregated. They've taught you in school that schools were really desegregated in 1954. That's not true. The real date, the starting of the fight to desegregate was 1929 in eastern San Diego, east of here, up to Highway 8. Then in 1933, the Lemon Grove area in eastern San Diego también. Well, then the war came in now 1946, when it really happened. 3 of the lawyers from the NAACP came to talk to the families to see what argument they had used. They used part of the argument to win their much more famous, Brown versus Board of Education, 1954. One of those attorneys, the lead attorney, in fact, was Thurgood Marshall. Ever heard of him? Do they teach you that in school? Anyway, continuing. Next slide. Hey, this vato, he didn't like Holmes. I mean, he did not like Holmes. I mean, brilliant. I mean, one of the most brilliant minds that ever existed. Albert Einstein. You walk into a science room in the high schools, and there's always a poster of Albert Einstein. But then there's a back door. How come there's no picture of this vato? Students would say, hey, that looks like my tío. All right. Nobel Prize winner, Professor Emeritus, University of California, Irvine, found the hole in the ozone. Ever heard of him? No. I went to Wellesley.